few years ago, I was introduced to a concept of, have you seen Jesus today? And it was in the wake of Hurricane Katrina, after all that happened, and there was a group of volunteers going out helping people, blessing them with work, and simply asking them if they could pray for them. And the response was amazing. People would always respond yes, and we would always pray with these folks. And so the question was asked at the end of every day. It was kind of the capstone of our day, the cornerstone of our day. And it was, where did you see Jesus? And we would tell our stories. And that was a concept that just, it took me a while to grab hold of that. So you read 1 Corinthians 10, 1 through 5. Israel was walking through the desert, and Christ, the rock, was with them. And they didn't recognize him. And that was the plea that Paul was making, was don't neglect to see Christ, who is right there with you. So where do we see Christ? Where do we see God today? Boy, I was turned on to this passage because somebody had asked me, where do I see the Father? And where do I see the Lord? And I didn't have an answer. But then I was reading in Acts chapter 2, and it said, I see the Lord always before me, which is a quote from Psalm 16. And as you read Psalm 16 and Acts chapter 2, you keep on reading, and you see that what Peter was saying was, that was the words of David, and he was talking about what would become a passage connected to the resurrection of the Messiah, Jesus. And so God, when He's ever before me, He leads me down paths of life, and He does not fail to rescue me from even the grave. And so He rescues me from this, He snatches me out, and He leads me in a path of life. And that is the hope of the life that we live in God. So that hope of resurrection, that hope of God being our protector and the one who leads us down the paths. Peter said, what you're seeing, that is the day of Pentecost when the Holy Spirit came down and they began speaking in other tongues. He said, what you see and what you hear is evidence of this Messiah who was in the grave, but God snatched Him out of that grave, put new life in Him by the power of the Spirit. That is what you see and hear. And he made the point to say, we saw and heard Jesus Himself. Now you see and hear just like David saw the Lord ever before him. So that's the good news for today, that seeing and hearing and evidence of the Spirit is the reflection of the Spirit covenant that God has passed on through His people, that He said in Isaiah 59:21, that my Spirit is in you, my words are in you, they will be on your lips, to your offspring, for now and forevermore. That is the new covenant that we live in Jesus. He has given us His Spirit to speak the words of life. And that's what you see, and that's what you hear.